All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we're going deep on the modern space race.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, this is going to be good. We're diving into a transcript from a YouTube video.
The YouTube video. Cool.
Yeah, it's called Topics in Orbit, and let me tell you, it's a whole different ball game from, the Cold War space race.
Oh, yeah.
Back then, it was all about planting flags, right?
Yeah.
But this is about resources and military power.
Hmm. That sounds a little intense.
Yeah, it is, kinda. It really makes you think about the future of humanity out there in space.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's not just about national pride anymore.
Exactly. And one of the things that really jumped out at me in the video was how much China is shaking things up.
Oh, yeah, they're really coming up fast.
I mean, landing on the far side of the moon with their changing mission,
Wow.
and their rovers cruising around on Mars right now.
They're definitely aiming to be a major player in space.
No doubt about it. And they're developing some pretty interesting technology, too, like the Shenglong spacecraft. You familiar with that?
Kinda. Remind me.
Well, it's like a space plane, kind of similar to the U.S. Air Force's X-37B.
Oh, right. Those mysterious space planes. Always got me wondering what they're really doing up there.
I know, right? Super secretive, both of them. Classified missions.
It's a little unsettling. I think, what are they hiding?
Yeah, it definitely adds to the tension, the whole lack of transparency and trust between these countries.
Definitely. It makes international cooperation a lot harder, that's for sure.
Right, and then you add the militarization of space into the mix, and things get, well, a bit scarier.
True. The video mentioned that the U.S. accused Russia of testing an anti-satellite weapon, didn't it?
Yep. Russia denied it, but the fact that anyone's even considering such weapons,
Yeah, pretty alarming.
it's like a whole new kind of arms race, but this time it's happening in orbit.
The thought of conflict in space is a lot to take in.
And the Topics in Orbit video touches on AI being a big part of future space missions.
Oh, AI in space. Now that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Right. Think about it. AI-powered spacecraft making decisions on their own,
Wow.
running experiments, even managing entire lunar bases.
That sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
I know, right? But it's closer than you think. It could change everything, how we explore, how we get resources, everything.
It's fascinating, but I can't help but think about the potential downsides too.
Oh, absolutely. It's a powerful technology. We got to use it responsibly.
100%. It's a huge responsibility.
Well, speaking of responsibility in space, the video also brought up this whole scramble for lunar resources.
The lunar gold rush. Yeah, I've heard about this.
It's like a modern-day gold rush, but this time the treasure is helium-3, water ice, rare earth elements, titanium, you name it, the moon's got it, and it's valuable.
And everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Which brings us to, well, some controversy.
Controversy.
Yeah, the Artemis Accords. They're basically a set of agreements led by the U.S. to set some rules for how we extract those resources.
Like so.
The problem is China and Russia aren't on board.
Why not?
Well, they say the accords are too focused on the U.S. and don't take other countries' needs into account.
So we have a situation where everyone's racing for resources, and we don't even have clear international rules on how to manage it.
That's it in a nutshell.
It makes you wonder, are we going to share these resources or just fight over them?
It's a big question, a really big question. This isn't the space race of the past.
Not at all. This is a whole new game with much higher stakes.
We've got new players, groundbreaking technology, and challenges that could literally determine the future of humanity in space.
It's both exhilarating and kind of terrifying, all at the same time.
Well said. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We've talked about China's rise, those super secret space planes.
And don't forget AI in space.
All right, AI. And then there's that whole lunar resource scramble.
And the potential for conflict over it all?
Yep, we're just scratching the surface here, but this gives you an idea of how much more complex and, frankly, risky the modern space race has become.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
So, get ready to go even deeper with us. In the next segment, we'll be tackling the role of private companies like SpaceX.
Oh, and Blue Origin.
Blue Origin, right. We'll dive into the potential for conflict in space and see if there's any hope for international cooperation in all this.
Sounds good to me. I'm ready for the next leg of the journey.
Me too.
One thing we can't ignore is how much private companies are changing the space game.
It's mind-blowing, really.
Like SpaceX and Blue Origin.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be only governments could do this stuff.
Right, but now you've got these visionaries like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
With their big dreams and even bigger rockets, haha.
They're really pushing the boundaries.
No doubt. SpaceX with those reusable rockets.
And talking about colonizing Mars.
It's wild, and Blue Origin wants to make space tourism a thing.
They build all this infrastructure in space.
The Topics in Orbit video didn't talk about them too much, but I'm really curious about their impact. Like, what do you think?
Well, one thing's for sure. They're making space, well, less expensive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. SpaceX's Falcon 9.
It's made launching things way cheaper, so now it's not just superpowers.
Exactly. Smaller countries can get in on the action.
Research groups,
Yeah.
even private citizens.
It's like the democratization of space.
Exactly. And that means more innovation, more discoveries.
It's kind of crazy to think about all the possibilities.
Oh, yeah. Satellite networks for global internet.
Asteroid mining.
It's a whole new world. But we got to be careful too, right?
Oh, for sure. All this activity is going to make the space debris problem even worse.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier. And the video stressed that we need to work together on this globally.
Which makes me wonder about the private companies. Like, how do they fit in?
Well, I mean, they can design their stuff to create less debris, right?
Oh, right. Like minimizing space junk.
Exactly. SpaceX is already doing that, deorbiting their Falcon 9 stages.
So they're not just floating around up there forever.
Right. And they can even help develop ways to clean up the existing debris.
Seriously.
Yep. Some companies are working on robots that can grab old satellites.
Wow.
Or even lasers to nudge the junk out of the way.
It's like a cosmic cleanup crew.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of. But like you said, we need everyone working together on this, governments and companies.
Which brings us back to that whole international cooperation thing. The video, it didn't paint a very optimistic picture.
It's tough, right? Every country's got their own goals, their own secrets.
How are we supposed to, like, bridge that gap?
It's a big challenge.
Uh.
But maybe we can start by focusing on what we all agree on.
Like what?
Well, like nobody wants more space debris.
True. That's a problem for everyone.
It threatens everything we're trying to do in space, so there's common ground there, right?
Right. We all got to work together to solve that.
Exactly. And then there's stuff like planetary defense, protecting Earth from asteroids.
Oh, yeah. That's important.
That's another thing that affects all of us, no matter what country you're from.
So maybe those shared threats, those can actually bring us together.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
It could build trust, you know?
Maybe. But let's not forget about the potential for conflict. I mean, the video talked about the militarization of space, all those secrets, the competition for resources.
A lot to worry about.
It feels like things could, like, erupt at any moment.
It's a high-stakes game for sure. And the stakes just keep getting higher.
So what can we do? Like, how do we stop things from getting out of control?
Well, we need, like, some rules for space, you know? Clear international agreements.
To, like, define what's okay and what's not?
Yeah. Limits on military stuff. And some way to deal with disagreements.
That makes sense. The video mentioned the Artemis Accords.
But those haven't exactly been a slam dunk.
No, not everyone's happy with them, so we need something that works for everyone.
And we need more transparency, less secrecy.
Oh, for sure. Like those X-37B and Shenglong space planes.
All that hush-hush stuff just breeds suspicion.
Right. If we're more open with each other.
It could help build trust, ease the tension.
But how do you get countries to be transparent when it comes to, like, national security? It's a tough one. But maybe they could at least share basic info about their satellites.
Like where they are, what they're doing, in general.
Yeah, just to show good faith.
A confidence-building measure.
Exactly. So it seems like it all comes down to finding a balance.
Between competition and cooperation.
Yeah. It's going to be a tricky path to navigate.
No doubt. This modern space race, it's a whole different beast, you know?
It really is. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious, what's standing out to you the most?
Good question. I think it's the sheer ambition of it all, you know?
Ambition.
Yeah, we're talking about like living on the moon, going to Mars.
Mining asteroids.
It's just incredible. It's an amazing time to be alive.
I agree. It's really inspiring.
But it's a huge responsibility too.
It is. We got to make sure we do this right, you know?
For ourselves, for future generations.
We need to balance all this innovation, all this progress.
With sustainability, cooperation.
And ethical considerations.
It's a lot to juggle, but we have to figure it out if we want space to be something that benefits all of humanity.
This Topics in Orbit video, it really makes you realize that the modern space race is about more than just, you know, rockets and satellites.
It goes way deeper than that.
It's about how we see ourselves, you know, our place in the universe.
Exactly. It's a reflection of our human spirit, our drive to explore.
It's easy to get caught up in the competition and everything.
Yeah.
The race for resources, the military stuff.
But at its core, space exploration is about our curiosity.
Our desire to understand the big picture.
The video mentioned the scientific discoveries
Oh,
and the
yeah.
technology we've developed.
It's incredible how much we've learned.
It's completely changed our understanding of the universe.
And of ourselves.
From those first pictures of Earth, from space
Apollo missions, yeah.
to the Hubble telescope,
Mind-blowing images.
we've gained a whole new perspective.
Absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
not just about science either. Think about all the art and literature and music inspired by space.
It's enriched our culture in so many ways.
It sparked our imagination.
It shows how much we crave the unknown.
It's in our nature to explore.
And as we go further, the ethical questions become even more important.
Oh yeah, we talked about resources and conflict, but there's so much more to consider.
Like, what happens if we change the environment of another planet?
Or if we find alien life.
Big questions, no easy answers.
It's kind of overwhelming to think about.
But we got to start thinking about these things now.
Before it's too late.
Exactly. We're on the verge of a new era.
Things are moving so fast.
And our choices will have huge consequences.
The video didn't really go into detail on these ethical dilemmas.
No, but it definitely makes you think.
It reminds us that space exploration, it's not just about technology.
It's about humanity,
Our values, our responsibilities.
our place in the cosmos.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from all of this.
What do you mean?
The space race, it's not just about winning.
Right.
It's a chance for us to learn and grow.
To better understand the universe
And ourselves.
and to create a future where space is a force for good.
For everyone.
Well said. That Topics in Orbit video, it really gave us a lot to think about.
It did. It's a lot to process.
So many layers to this new space race.
It's exciting. It's a little scary.
But most of all, it's full of potential.
It really is. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We talked about private companies, the possibility of conflict,
The need for cooperation.
the ethical challenges.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. Hopefully it's inspired you to keep exploring these ideas.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot more reading to do.
And for our listeners, if you're interested in learning more,
Definitely check out that Topics in Orbit video.
and keep an eye on the ever-changing world of space exploration.
Who knows what the future holds?
It's a wide-open frontier
Full of possibilities.
and challenges.
But one thing's for sure, it's going to be an incredible ride.